It is 5:10 and the dinner rush has started. My kids are swimming in the pool. It might be a little loud. They are blasting Disney music and I am trying to cook dinner. So I got some stuff started already and I thought, why don't I bring you along and show you how I put together a meal for my family? Cooking doesn't have to be complicated. I have a really simple blueprint that I use to put together meals that are simple, delicious, satisfying, and nutritious, and help me meet my protein, fiber, and calorie goals each day. Today, I'm gonna take you along while I cook up a delicious salmon bowl, and I hope I can give you some tips and tricks along the way to help you in cooking up whatever your heart desires. If you're new here, I'm Megan. I've lost 125 pounds using compounded tirzepatide. I started in August 2023 at 243 pounds, and now I've been maintaining my weight right around 118 pounds for the past many months. I love cooking, but I am also a fast food addict. I was eating fast food 5 to 7 days a week, and using every excuse I could think of to eat fast food. Since I started my weight loss journey, cooking for my family has become an even bigger priority. While I did love to do it before and I often cook for them, now I have a focus on making meals that I enjoy too. The meals I cook now look a lot like the meals I used to cook before, but I have had to make some adjustments because cooking while on a GLP-1 medication has become a little more challenging. Food doesn't have the emotional pull that it used to have on me. Having a GLP-1 medication in my brain helps disconnect all of that emotion from food. So I can't think, oh, that sounds so good. Like my brain just doesn't work like that anymore. So I build my meals around the nutrients that I need and to know that I'm fueling my body in a really healthy way. So the framework that I use for planning my meals is super simple. I like to first think about protein. I'm thinking, how can I get as much protein in this meal as I possibly can? So today I'm gonna be doing salmon. Once I've decided on my protein, the next thing I usually think about is whether I'm going to enjoy a carb with my meal. And usually for my kids for dinner, I'm always going to include one. And the thing I have to think about is whether I'm going to eat it or not. If I've eaten a carb heavy meal or two earlier in the day, then I might skip the carbs for dinner. And that's not because carbs are bad. Carbs are needed. They are good for you. You need carbs for energy. But it's something that you definitely want to think about if you're aiming for weight loss. This is what I tell my kids. Carbs are energy and carbs are fuel. When you're an adult, you need less carbs because you're putting out less energy than kids are. Kids are moving and grooving all day long. Their bodies are like never stopping. As adults, we're sitting a lot. You might have a desk job. You're not moving. Right now, I'm recovering from surgery. I am moving a lot less than I normally do. I am normally somebody who walks 12 to 18,000 steps a day. I'm doing heavy weights and workouts, Pilates and things like that. Right now, I am doing nothing. It is 5:18 and I have 5,800 steps for the day, and I'm probably not going to get many more. So that means my energy input should adjust to meet my energy output. So I think it's a very personal thing to decide how much energy you need in the form of carbohydrate. And I like to just adjust and assess that on an hour by hour basis. If I'm feeling like I need more energy, I will eat more carbs. I do like to make sure that my carbs are in the most natural form that they can be. So things like rice and potatoes are really great and they're very fulfilling and satisfying. Having a satisfying meal is something that maybe I think people underestimate too. Of course, we could all lose weight if we're just gonna eat chicken breast and broccoli. Yes, we will lose weight. You want to eat that every single day for your dinner and it will work. But when you're in the real world, you have to think about whether you are going to be able to sustain that for the long term. I could not sustain that for the long term, so I have to have meals that are colorful, they are visually appealing, that have foods that really satisfy my body and make me think, that was a good meal. Of course, in the beginning, when you are on a GLP-1 medication, you might not get that satisfying feel, and then great. You are just fine to eat that chicken and broccoli. Don't force yourself to eat things if it is not necessary for your body. I think when you're in the beginning and you're trying to lose the bulk of your weight, I think it's wise to do everything you possibly can to try to make progress as quickly as you can. Because when you make progress, you're more motivated to make more progress. So in the beginning, I definitely ate more meals that were just super simple protein and vegetables. As I have moved on my journey and moved into maintenance, I have been maintaining a healthy weight for over a year now. And I plan to maintain this weight for the rest of my life. If I'm gonna do something for the rest of my life, it has to be sustainable and something that I can see myself doing forever. So that's why I cook these kinds of meals, are satisfying and fulfilling, and I don't feel like I'm depriving myself of anything. I actually feel like I'm giving myself a gift of this amazing, delicious meal. So tonight for my carb, I am doing rice. I cook it in a rice cooker. I get this pre-seasoned salmon from Costco. It is delicious. It is kind of on the pricey side for proteins, but I like it, so I get it. And we probably have this twice a month or so. I like this salmon because it comes individually portioned. So each of the packets looks like this. It comes with the skin on. I don't eat the skin, but I just cook it skin side down and then it lifts off the skin really easily. And I like to have it pre-portioned like this because I can heat up one fillet just for myself for a quick lunch if my family's eating something different. And for my family, I know how many of these that I need to make. So like tonight I'm making 4 of them. It's just me and my 3 kids tonight. My husband's out of town, but I wanted to have leftovers for my lunch tomorrow. This salmon is 260 calories for 1 6-ounce fillet, and it has 33 grams of protein. I'm gonna be adding some extra protein with some other elements of this meal, but I know that starting with a base of 33 grams of protein is huge. I try to aim for about 30 grams of protein for each of my meals. So at 33 grams, I'm already over that mark and doing really great. That's a great start. I do often buy just plain salmon at the grocery store. I'll get that big giant fillet and I will put pesto on it. I'll put salt, pepper, and lemon juice on it. I have seasoned it many different ways. It always comes out delicious. When I cook salmon, I usually just cook it in the oven. I use a meat thermometer to make sure that my salmon is cooked to perfection. I'm telling you, when you're cooking so much protein and you want your protein to taste good, a meat thermometer is something you need to invest in. I have this one, it is Therm Pro, and it is like an instant read thermometer. I used to have one and it was so slow and so annoying. This one is really awesome. You just stick it in and it tells you what the temperature is. I also used to have one that you could leave in the oven, like connected to it. I prefer this one. I just like to stick it in and test it, make sure that it's cooked. I use this when I'm grilling. I use it for chicken just to make sure that I'm not overcooking things like chicken breast. I like to use the thin chicken breast and it cooks really fast, like probably faster. Alexa, stop. It cooks really fast, faster than you might expect. All right, let's pull this salmon out of the oven. I cooked this salmon at 375 for about 30 minutes. It does cook from frozen and it looks perfect. I have my handy dandy rice cooker here. It is just a Hamilton Beach. I love my rice cooker and I use it several times a week. You'll notice that right next to my rice cooker, I have my food scale. Whenever I am cooking some sort of carbohydrate that I plan to eat, I absolutely measure it out on a food scale. This food scale is just, I don't even know if this brand, you can find it anywhere. It's just from our grocery store. I've had it for probably 12 or 13 years. It has batteries. I changed, oh, see, look, the battery, the back of it came off, but I just use this to measure out the carbohydrates that I'm putting on my plate so that I know what I'm putting into my body. I am not somebody who measures and tracks everything that I eat. I have done it periodically over this weight loss journey, but usually what I'm measuring and tracking is either foods that I really like and I'm eating on a very regular basis, things that I eat almost every day. I want to have a handle on the portion size of that and know what I'm putting into my body. And then also things that I really like and are easy to overeat, like carbohydrates, like things like homemade French fries or hash browns, or rice, things like that that my body craves and wants more of. I just need that extra outside influence of saying, hey, this is a good starter portion size. And that doesn't mean I'm married to that size. If I want more rice, I will have more rice, but at least I've made an educated decision to do that. I know how many calories are in the rice that I'm eating, and I'm able to decide, hey, do I want to have a little bit more of that? Is this a day where I've expended a lot of energy and I need more fuel? It's going to make me feel better. Or am I okay with just a regular serving size and I want more, but I don't need more? I can make that decision when I have the data to do so. And that's why I have my handy dandy food scale. Okay, we are going to make a quick cucumber salad. And I like to use the long English cucumbers. They have less seeds on them. The skin is not as tough as a regular cucumber. And I don't even know that my kids really know what regular cucumbers are, because this is pretty much all that we use. I like it because, especially if you have kids, you don't have to worry about peeling the skin. Like some kids, just the texture of a regular cucumber skin is too much for them. And this, my kids will willingly eat. I'm gonna wash it real quick. Okay, and then I'm just gonna slice it up thin. I do have a mandolin, and honestly, I'm scared to use it on a video because that will be the time that I cut my finger and have to go to the emergency room, and my husband's out of town, so I don't wanna do that right now. So I'm just gonna use a knife. All right, I am just gonna take these cucumbers and put them into a bowl, and I'm gonna just marinate them with first a little bit of salt. I like to use pink Himalayan salt. So I'm just gonna add a little bit on my cucumbers there. Then I am going to use a little bit of this monk fruit blend. If you've seen my other videos, you know my love for this stuff, and I won't go into it, but you want to definitely check. If you are sensitive to sugar alcohols, don't eat this stuff. You will be in the bathroom. But for the rest of us, it's a really great sugar substitute. I feel like it has no aftertaste, and it works really well in cooking in a way that other sugar substitutes do not. Then I am also going to add some rice vinegar onto my cucumbers, and I'm just gonna liberally sprinkle that on there. And then I'm just gonna mix it up and let these sit for a minute while I get everything else ready, so that it's kind of like a quick pickle. It's like I'm pickling them, but not really pickling them. And it's super quick and easy. My kids love it. Sometimes I'll throw some like coconut aminos on here or soy sauce. Today, I'm just gonna do this. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna toast up some edamame. So I'm going to grab a skillet. That was loud. All right, I'm gonna take my skillet and I'm gonna bring it over here. My daughter made cookies earlier. I do not cook with food coloring. I just did a video about how I was a real food enthusiast for many years. So food coloring is not something that I choose to use in my house, but I have a teenager, so she made blue cookies. I thought they were Cookie Monster, but she told me that they were Percy Jackson. So if you have kids and you know who Percy Jackson is, you might know that he is, I think, the son of Poseidon or something like that. So they're like blue like the ocean. Okay, so I'm heating up my skillet here. Now here's one of the changes that I have made during this weight loss journey. Before, I would have put oil in this pan, and oil is something that is such a small amount for so many calories. And you might think, oh, it doesn't matter. But over the course of a day, if I'm doing that with multiple things, it really does add up. So I have switched to just using the avocado oil spray. I get this at Costco. They sell it other places, but it is a much better deal at Costco. And I just like to use this, and I'll just do a little spray on the pan, and that saves so many calories versus doing like 2 tablespoons of olive oil or a swirl around the pan like Rachel Ray used to say. That's what I used to do. I do have olive oil here in my little bottle, and sometimes I will use it for certain things, but I use it much more sparingly than I used to. Okay, I'm gonna use these frozen shelled edamame from Walmart. And I like these because they give extra protein. So in half a cup of these, you get 9 grams of protein and 90 calories. So you can see my bowl that I'm gonna be making already has 33 grams of protein from my salmon, 9 from my edamame. So this is shaping up to be a really great protein heavy meal for me. Okay, I'm just going to take the edamame. It comes already shelled. And I'm just gonna put it in my hot pan. I like to give it a little bit of a stir, but then I'm just gonna kind of let it sit because I want it to get kind of charred on the sides of it. I like it when it gets a little bit black, and it'll be really delicious like that. And I'm gonna add that as a veggie into my bowl. When I'm planning my meals, after I've thought about the protein and my carb that I'm gonna be eating and making sure I have some veggies in it, I also like to really think about how can I add any extra fiber to this. Fiber is such an important nutrient, and you want to make sure that you're getting enough of it. And I prefer not to take any like fiber supplements. I don't take anything on a daily basis that is giving me extra fiber. I try to get all of my fiber from fruits and vegetables. I definitely aim for about 25 grams of fiber. So to add some extra fiber and some sweetness and yumminess to this meal, I'm gonna be using frozen mango. And this frozen mango, it is one ingredient, which is organic mango, but I don't know why it's so good. I've had frozen mango from other places and other brands, but this one is delicious. So I will actually eat this mango for a snack. I like to eat it frozen. I will put it in cottage cheese and eat it as a snack, and it's really good, or like a side for my breakfast. So I took some out earlier, and I'm just gonna let it like thaw. I could stick it in the microwave if I need to, but I took it out so that it would hopefully thaw. And this just adds some nice color and fiber and a little like hint of sweetness that is gonna be really delicious on the salmon bowl. Okay, I hear my edamame bubbling over here, so I'm gonna come and give it a stir. So I'm thinking about my meal, and so far I have salmon, rice, cucumber salad, mango, and edamame. And I kind of feel like I would like a few more veggies to fill in this meal just to make it rounded out for me. I am gonna heat up some of these. This is the vegetable melange from Costco. Again, I love these. They have such good flavor. They're really delicious. It's a bunch of mixed vegetables. I like that they're cut pretty small. Normally at my house, my husband is in charge of the dishes on weekdays, and I said he's out of town. So guys, I have pretty much used every single dish in my house at this point today, and I am really gonna be struggling with dishes later, but it's gonna be worth it to have this delicious meal, right? That's the story we're telling ourselves, and we're sticking to it, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna heat these up in my little skillet here. Somebody left this bag open. By somebody, I mean me. So I need to break it up a little. Since my kids don't really like these, I'm not gonna make a ton of them. One of my kids will eat them and the other 2 will say no thank you. If you have kids or are cooking for a family, cooking meals like this is really awesome because everybody can kind of pick and choose what they want to go in their bowl. I just make sure that we have options that everybody in my family likes, and it works really well. Okay, so we have protein, we have our carb, we have our veggies. And the last thing I like to do when I am planning a meal is to figure out the sauce. Having a sauce with your meal can make or break it. It takes a meal from boring to delicious. There are so many different sauce options, and depending on where you are in your weight loss journey and how aggressive you are in cutting down your calories, you can choose sauces that meet your needs and fit your goals. All right, now for the sauce, I'm going to make a sriracha mayo. If I was being more aggressive in my calorie deficit, I might opt for just sriracha or a lower calorie option. But because I'm in maintenance, I do have the luxury of being able to add a few more calories. I will absolutely be more judicious with this sauce than I used to be before starting my weight loss journey. I used to use sriracha mayo, like a lot of it, like it was part of the meal. Now I definitely look at it more like it's a condiment. It is just a little bit of added flavor. Okay, so I measure nothing. So I'm just adding a little bit of mayonnaise, a little bit of that sriracha. I'm gonna stir it up. My girls don't like things too spicy, but I kind of make it, I just judge by the level of orangeness. Okay, I think we're ready to put this bowl together. I love these bowls. They are from Williams-Sonoma. They are their pasta bowls, and I feel like they're the perfect container for meals like this where you're having different things. I love to mix my food all together. Years ago, there was like a KFC bowl where it was like mashed potatoes and chicken and corn and gravy and everything mixed together. That's like heaven for me. So that's what I like to do. I know some of my kids don't prefer things together, so this works for them still because they can kind of separate everything, but I like to put it all on here and then mix it all together. I am going to turn on my food scale and I make sure that it's on grams. I like to measure everything in grams. I'm going to put my bowl on here and then reset it so that it is at 0. Then I can go ahead and measure out my rice. All right, I'm measuring out my rice and I kind of just eyeball it. I'm using 1/3 of a cup measuring cup just to help me get an idea of how much I'm putting in here. But I put that in there and it is 65 grams. Looks like a good portion of rice. It's gonna be delicious. Then I'm going to go ahead and add my salmon. First, before I do that, I'm going to zero out that. So I have 65 grams of rice. I have 110 grams of salmon. Then I'm going to go ahead and zero that out again. I'm gonna add my mango. I have 60 grams of mango. Let's go ahead and add the edamame. Here is what the edamame looks like. You can see it's a little bit charred and delicious looking. So I need to zero out my scale again, just so I have even numbers. I did 65 grams of edamame. Now I will do my mixed veggies. They're kind of dark, but they are really tasty. They have just a really good seasoning on them. They're made with 65 grams of vegetables. Now I'll add my cucumber. The cucumber salad is gonna be nice and marinated. Just that amount of time that I've been cooking is all I marinated it here. I'm gonna go ahead and zero out my scale again. 60 grams of cucumber salad. And the last thing is adding on my sriracha mayo, 15 grams of sriracha mayo. All right, and here we have my beautiful salmon bowl for dinner. Okay, here we have my beautiful, delicious salmon bowl that is gonna be so nutritious and filling and satisfying while also packing a ton of protein, fiber, getting in some good vegetables, and satisfying with that delicious rice. Thanks so much for stopping by to cook with me today. If you've enjoyed this, I would love for you to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you want me to cook up next in the kitchen, or if you're tired of cooking with me, go ahead and tell me that too.